a piece of 7 sawn brass, and a piece of 6.5 sawn that's neck down to a 6 that's fire formed to a 40-degree shoulder. When you're looking from the side, the shallower shoulder or the lower number is more parallel with the side of the case and then the side of the neck. The steeper the shoulder, the further away from parallel it goes, and the more case capacity the case has.
And there's just a bunch of fucking tofu eating, fucking man bun wearing dorks and no pussy at all. Yeah.
Hold out, baby! Woo! Is he down? Is he a big one? Is he down? Real love the truck trying to get the damn shot.
Bullshit, man. Look at the thing.
Form wearing shorts. Yeah. That sack fucking hanging out.
Don't fucking doubt the fucking 6mm.
Shoot him, shoot him. All right, hold on. Hold on.
Let's go.
Let's go! Those fucking Amish would have shot that motherfucker.
Got a face only mother can love.
That's crazy.
We need a new intro.
You know, we just dropped episode 103 today, Tuesday. The, what is it? Tuesday the 31st?
Mm-hmm.
The end of the year.
A lot of talking. What I seen in this whole thing is I had to carry the whole fucking thing.
Oh, you carried the podcast the last 2 years?
Fuck yeah, pretty much. I just fucking looking at it. I don't think there's anybody that listens that doesn't understand and agree with that.
Well, we do always like to have the shortest guy do most of the carrying.
Here's the thing. Why is it got to be about short or tall?
I don't know. It did brings up a topic though.
Yeah.
So I was taking a shit this morning, and
Is that when you do most of your thinking?
it is actually. You know how I've been bad lately too. You sit on the toilet and you start doing the phone thing, and whether you're researching or just scrolling or doom scrolling or whatever, it gets to the point about 30 minutes in where your legs start to go numb, and then it almost like that's your alarm. Like, oh shit, I'm fucking up. I better get up. But no, what I realize is that, you know, when you're taking a shit, you can always tell when there's a shit out of water. And what I mean by that is it has, like, there's a smell, right? Like your shit stinks. Like you're in there, you shit, and you get kind of a, you know, it's like a fart smell almost, but it's not horrible. Now, when you're taking a real big shit, and that fucker comes out the water level, it's like peeking up out of the water.
Like the Titanic.
There's exposed shit out of water. There's a whole different smell. And it's almost like immediately you can take the shit and you know whether that made it all the way in the water or not. And this morning I had one out of water. I don't know.
I'll tell you why I don't have that problem. But does it speed up the process?
What, the shitting process?
When it stinks?
That's what I was about to say. So what it does to you is like it's an early alarm. It's like, oh damn, I can't sit here for 30 minutes. I need to get up. Or you just reach back and flush.
See, like everybody has like these, I don't know what it is about my family, but dude, we were like 30 seconds in and we've already went off the rails in this podcast talking about shit. But now that we're on the subject, my whole family, my mom's side of the family, every holiday, it turns into a shit talking story. Somebody starts it, but I don't know why. But it's like a running joke now. It ends up talking about shit stories.
Shit is fun for everybody.
It is, but I don't have that problem because I don't think I ever told this, but when I was like 12 years old, it was April Fool's Day. We were playing hide and go seek with all my cousins, and they lived by a Christmas tree farm. And my cousin was chasing me. I was running, and I tripped and fell. And somebody had cut like the side, you know, kind of jagged edge Christmas tree. And I landed on the Christmas tree with my throat. And I didn't know at the time, but it jabbed like a 6-inch stick through the bottom of my neck, through the bottom of my jaw, into my mouth, through the roof of my mouth, into my nose.
What does that have to do with shitting?
This is it. Well, It fucked up my sinuses. I haven't been able to smell since.
Oh, I'm like, is he shitting out of his nose? What's happening right now?
But so in those stories, like I don't smell. Like it has to be really like intense.
So you can't tell if you have a shit out of water.
No, that was the moral of the story.
Oh, gotcha.
Is I got a big, basically fucking shiv jabbed through my face.
Know, that can be good and bad. There's probably smells you like to smell.
Well, I smell like weird, like pungent, like I really can smell like if elk. Like the good thing is I can smell like if I've been through elk. Like we just came from elk hunt and we got into where Form shot an elk and I was like, holy shit, that's I get this rampant smell. But I don't smell It does make like spearmint and like all the gum smells. It just obnoxious smell to me. I hate the smell of that shit.
Huh.
Like it's too strong. It's weird.
Yeah.
I can't like baseline smelling. I would say I'm below average. Anyways, I don't smell those Titanic poops hanging out at the top.
I got you.
Yeah. We went.
I kind of enjoy when you smell one out of water. It means you had like a nice big shit, like it was worth it. Like you sat down and you fucking got something done.
Yeah, there's like levels of like shit fulfillment.
Yes.
It's fucking, sometimes it's not there. And then,
like you take this shit, you're like, God damn, I'm not going to have to shit again for at least a couple hours.
Yeah, you know, it's your body's running right. It's full evacuation.
Or like it cleared out so much pipe, you could actually feel the next shit start to move down, like way up in you.
I don't know about that, dude. I've never felt that. Wow.
Oh, God. All right.
We got shitty quickly.
We got to laugh a little bit. Okay, but today's episode, we're going to try to keep this short and sweet. Today it's going to be, this is basically the educational podcast about the 6UM moving into 2025. And it's because my man Ryan here has DMs and questions just off the rails about misunderstanding about different directions and why and things like that. So we plan to hopefully put all of these myths to bed and give you guys a little short episode you can listen to. That way, if you ever think about building a 6UM or whatever about the 6UM, you can just listen to 30 minutes here. And especially, well, we could have made a little shorter if we didn't have the shit talk in the beginning.
Yeah, there's no, like, I just want to I'll let Jake explains things really well, least amount of words to get to a point. I'm more wordy and talking circles, but I want to get rid of the voodoo that I keep getting. We're not trying to trick people. I guess what I want to say is we're going to make there's two different versions and that's it. There's no trick there. One's fire form, one's not, but I'll let you go into the nuts and bolts of it.
All right. So originally we did neck down 6.5 Psalm brass to a 6. So there are, first to put to bed, there is a 6 Psalm group out there that has figured out that basically our 6UM head stamp brass will not fit and there's no standard, so it can be any number of different 6 Psalm chambers. The base, the case head to the shoulder dimension is slightly longer due to ADG's development process of necking down the 6.5 Psalm to the 6. It ended up with a little bit longer shoulder. This was not intentional. This is just the result of the brass development process. But again, our goal was not to match some 6 Psalm specification somewhere in the world. Our goal was to have head stamped brass that was based off a 6.5 Psalm case, which eventually was a 6 Psalm improved, which was the first 6UM and so on. Don't get confused about all that. All that means is for those of you 6 Psalm aficionados out there who may have their own reamer, who may have their own whatever, 6 Psalm is not a SAMI spec. There is no spec for a 6 Psalm other than I could say, oh, I necked down 7 Psalm brass to 6. And so on. But our goal with this project was not to help 6 Psalm guys have some brass. And the head stamp is not 6 Psalm anyway. The head stamp is 6UM. So we decided after the 6UM was developed with a 30-degree shoulder. So in other words, when you receive brass today from ADG, it will come with a 30-degree shoulder. Now to start off, to educate the degree of shoulder for you guys, if you picture looking at the side of a piece of brass, you got that fired piece in there?
No, I don't. It's not in there.
What'd you do with this? Gone. Grab a piece of brass.
There is a 6.
So the degree of the shoulder, if you're looking at the side of a cartridge, the side of any cartridge, you can look at the shoulder itself and tell whether or not it's shallow or steep.
Question of the week powered by ADG.
How can you get the most reloads from your brass?
To get the most reloads out of our brass, load to moderate to maximum SAMI pressure levels, not above, and anneal your brass after every reload.
So if I'm holding in my hands right now what appears to be a 30-degree, so basically it's a fire-formed and an unfire-formed. It is a piece of 7 Psalm brass and a piece of 6.5 Psalm that's necked down to a 6 that's fire-formed to a 40-degree shoulder. When you're looking from the side, the shallower shoulder or the lower number is more parallel with the side of the case and then the side of the neck. The steeper the shoulder, the further away from parallel it goes, and the more case capacity the case has. So the whole idea behind improved shoulder in general was a guy named Ackley who started that a long time ago.
P.O. Ackley.
What's his first name?
P.O. Ackley.
P.O.?
P.O. Ackley.
Like post office?
Yep.
Okay. P.O. Ackley basically figured out that you can improve the shoulder by blowing it out to a steeper angle to allow for more case capacity. So there are a lot of cartridges out there that will say Ackley improved or just improved. And what that means is that the shoulder has been taken from its natural angle of 30, it could be 25 degrees, 30 degrees, 35 degrees, doesn't matter. And it was blown out to 40 degrees, which is the steepest angle I think that you can have on a shoulder without collapsing the shoulder when you put a bullet in and whatnot. So 40 degrees is probably the steepest shoulder you can have. And again, this is the Ackley guy. This is to increase case capacity and make any cartridge a higher performance cartridge. So that's where the improved shoulder comes from. And like I said, that's 40 degrees. So the original 6UM, as designed by Mr. Avery here, was a 6.5 SAUM, neck down to 6 with an improved shoulder. The normal shoulder angle is 30 degrees. This was blown out again to 40 degrees, just like Ackley did, to give more case capacity for higher performance. ADG was unable to both produce the brass with a 6mm neck and a 40-degree shoulder. We had to make a choice. So we decided to go with the 6mm neck so that no necking up or necking down had to happen before the fire forming could happen. If you receive a new piece of ADG 6UM brass after the production run in March, April, it will arrive to you with a 6mm neck and a 30-degree shoulder. That's a shallower shoulder than the 40 that it can be fire formed to. It's a little bit less performance. We don't have load data on it yet. What we wanted to do was offer the shooter/hand loader the opportunity to not have to fire form. Now, it's not going to have the same performance level as the true 6UM with the 40-degree shoulder, but you will not have to fire form. You can load this brass into your 6UM chambered rifle with the 30-degree shoulder, and you can do just anything else you could do with any other cartridge. It's head stamped, it matches your chamber, it's ready to load, ready to shoot, and so on. No fire forming is needed. Now, fire forming is when you have to take a piece of brass from a certain form in your hand, and then it is pressured and blown out to match the chamber in your rifle. So that's what happens with the 40-degree shoulder. So when they build your 6UM rifle with a 40-degree shoulder, that brass is not going to match that chamber. It has a 30-degree shoulder, but it needs to be blown out to a 40-degree shoulder. We usually use cheaper bullets, cheaper powder, and a little bit less of a powder charge in order to fire form a piece of brass. But it does basically mean that you're firing that piece of brass one time before you have to reload it and then get to your actual true cartridge. So it's more expensive to fire form initially, but once you have fire formed the brass, the cost goes back down to normal. And I do have some cost breakdowns for you guys here in 1 second, but just to confirm, when you get the ADG 6UM brass, it will come with a 30-degree shoulder and fire forming is not needed. We will have dies for the 30-degree. We will have reamers for the 30-degree, go gauges for the 30-degree, and you can run just the 30-degree and never have to fire form. If you want full performance or the true Mr. Avery 6UM, you will need to blow out the 40-degree shoulder with a fire forming process. And again, we will have dies for the 40-degree. We already do. We have wooden dies currently. We have reamers for it. We have go gauges for it. We have all the good shit for the 40-degree. Right now. All the 30-degree stuff is coming very soon. ADG is also taking this a step further. They're going to be doing their own pressure testing. So we're building them a barrel right now that can use sensors, and we're actually going to pressure test this cartridge just like you would for a SAMI specification. So as far as you're concerned, or what SAMI spec is, this will be a head stamped, pressure tested, high quality brass available cartridge that basically makes it not a Wildcat anymore because everything matches. Everything matches. Anything that says 6UM or that's sold by UM as a 6UM, whether it be a reamer, a die, everything else is perfectly matched, which is nice. You don't have to worry about different manufacturers and manufacturing tolerances and all that good shit. You can just get right after it. So to get real quick into the price breakdown. Now, again, if you have the 30 degree without fire forming, everything's going to be a little bit cheaper because you don't need fire forming. So for loaded 6UM brand new ammo with a 30 degree shoulder, they're going to be $4.50 a piece. This is the going rate for any SOM cartridge or 7 PRC, 6.5 PRC, all that good stuff is right about $4 a round. The brass is going to be a little bit more expensive because it's made for us and it's a little bit more difficult to make. There's basically, the reason the brass is a bit more expensive is because of the scrap rate. So because of the overbore situation with the 6mm neck versus the size of the case, there's a high scrap rate, and that's reasons why manufacturers really don't like making brass this way. Most Wildcats tend to be overbore, steep shoulder angles, all that good shit, and that's why they're not generally manufactured. So again, 6UM 30 degree shoulder, brand new ammo, $4.50 a piece. If you want fire formed 6UM 40 brass only, those will be $5.30 a piece. That means that we've loaded it, fired it, and it's ready to be reloaded by you. If you want 6UM 40 degree fire formed loaded ammo, in other words, you've never bought brass and you have this new 6UM 40 degree rifle that you need ammo for initially, it's going to be $7.50. Now don't lose your head real quick. The reloads after you buy that first ammo are only $3.50. So in other words, you're paying for 2 firings when you buy that first ammo, and then after that, it's only $3.50 a round to reload. So yeah, it's a little more expensive up front, but high performance come with that extra little expense there, and that's what it worked out to. So that's pretty much all the pricing for 40 degree and 30 degree. You can buy just Fireform 40 degree brass. You can buy it as loaded ammo, or you can have it reloaded. And then the 6UM 30 comes as new ammo. And again, you save $1 a round. So the 6UM 30 degree reloads will also be $3.50. ADG will be running SOMs basically twice a year. So we will be able to squeeze our production run for 6UM wherever they're running SOMs. So basically twice a year. They can produce somewhere between 14 and 18,000 pieces a day. We can have a day or two of production each one of those times. So there's never going to be, I don't want to say there's never going to be a shortage of brass, but brass is here. All the tooling is done. The brass ain't going anywhere. We've been working with ADG basically for 5 years now since we started business, and they're definitely not going anywhere either. They just put another, 8,000 square foot building there, expansion under their building right now. So they're doing really well. They're not going anywhere.
We have a good working relationship with them. So.
Oh, yeah. Just got done visiting their place, and there's going to be a video coming out pretty soon on that. And you guys just heard the second podcast came out today on the 31st. But yes, those guys are awesome. Definitely not going anywhere. And that's just security for you trying to build a rifle, worried about getting brass. But basically, once you have the rifle and you have a couple hundred pieces of brass, you have nothing to worry about at that point anyway.
And like on the fire forming, because I get this question all the time is, well, I'm going to burn my barrel down if I fire form it. No, if you fire form and you get 100 rounds from UM, you got to fire form them anyways, and they're not super hot. So you'd fire form those 100. We have a pretty known load for the 108s and the 115s, which I would say most people are going to shoot. So you have a known load going into it. So you'll be probably 20 more and you'll be ready to go. 120 rounds in, you'll be ready to go. And we're getting about 650, 700-ish rounds per barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of barrel life. This isn't a plinker. You're not building this to go plinking.
Definitely.
So you still have 500 plus rounds to go hunting with.
And like you said, that fire forming load is not full performance.
Correct.
It's not full pressure, full heat.
Yep. So you're probably going to get, 750, maybe 8. I can't, everything's subjective right there.
Yeah.
But you're not burning it down. So if you didn't want to go through buying it loaded or buying it fire form, Jake, you can do it yourself.
Yes. And then I'll just go over the parts and the availability, and then we can get into some load data with Ryan. But so we will have both Whitten and ADG dies available in the 30 and the 40 degree. ADG is going to be releasing sizing dies only, and they will be the larger die diameter of 1 1/4. They're going to be very well machined dies, and they're going to do great. But we also want to offer the Whitten set because of the seating die, etc. And like I said, ADG is going to be doing their own pressure testing on their side. They're going to have a page on their website with pressure testing data as well as load data, all that good stuff. They plan to distribute this brass internationally. So this is not just going to be a local Post Falls, Idaho type of thing. Will be wherever ADG brass goes, this brass will go as well. So if you're listening and you're in South Africa, there are dealers in South Africa for ADG. You guys are going to see this brass too. What else? So reamers, we will be carrying reamers. They are, I believe, carbide reamers from JGS. We will have go gauges, again, dies, brass, and we will offer ammo. We will offer fire forming services. So everything that you need to service your 6UM rifle will be done here and offered here.
So if I go on to UM today and I see that the die is back ordered, this is the biggest question I get probably. If I ordered it today, what's your system of reordering from Whidden at the time?
We aim to keep the shit in stock, first of all. I think that the popularity has been, we've been ordering 10 die sets at a time. Whidden does use our actual dies, which seems to speed up that process, but I'd probably put it between 2 and 3 months.
Okay.
And that's it. Now, of course, we're ordering them consistently. So if you see back order, you may be in the middle of that 2 to 3 months. If you want to ask ahead of time, or really what I would say is that you should get on there and order a set of dies when you order your rifle, if you plan to do your own reloading. In that case, when the rifle's done, your dies are going to be ready.
Well, what's it going to look like when ADG starts making it? Are you going to continue to order Whidden dies and
Yes.
an ADG?
Both.
Okay.
Both for sure. If the brass, like we plan to bring in 2 days of brass this first run, which will be something like 30,000 pieces. A lot of those are spoken for, and a lot of gunsmiths themselves are ordering brass ahead of time in large quantities because they keep having requests for the cartridge.
That's another thing. If you're on the fence, don't fuck around with this first order because a lot of it's going to go fast.
Yes. In reality, if you plan on building, or you're already in the process of building a 6UM rifle, if it's not with us, if it is with us, whatever it is, you should have a minimum of 100 pieces of brass ordered and dies if you plan to reload. If you don't plan to reload, we can always do the loading for you. If that's your plan, that's fine. But you should have 100, even if we're doing the loading for you, you need 100 pieces of brass on your invoice for your rifle. Guarantee. If you have 100 pieces of brass and or dies, you're covered. It doesn't matter shortages or anything else after that. We plan to order as much brass as we need, but there may be a lull time there. It may not be in stock all the time, but they run SOMs twice a year. So those of you that have experienced 7 SOM and 6.5 SOM brass shortages, really 7 SOM, of course, you could always neck down the 6.5 SOM. You can even neck down the 7 SOM to make some shit happen. But if you want the head stamp version of the 6UM brass, I would not mess around. I would get on there, get it ordered, and so on.
And there's more. This is another question that I'm just going through all the questions that come to me every week is, if you're in Pennsylvania, Precision Arms has a 6UM reamer and they make 6UMs. Yes. They build custom rifles over there. Patriot Valley Arms has a 6UM reamer.
Yep.
So if you call, and I'm not trying to take away from UM, but what's fair is fair. And you don't like that lead time, call Tim at Precision, call Patriot Valley Arms, see what they can do. But and if you can, I always say, if you can drive to your gunsmith, that's the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. So if you live in PA, Ohio, or on the East Coast, it might be easier to go to Tim. So It's not just, I guess the proprietary part. It's not just stuck at It's all over the United States.
Yeah, exactly. We sell to dealers.
Yeah.
So the dealers can have the brass. The dealers can buy the reamers. It's not a thing you can only have done at It will be a worldwide. Again, ADG is going to be distributing the brass worldwide. We can ship reamers worldwide. So this is a worldwide option for you, not just here at And completely agree with Ryan. If you guys have a gunsmith in your local area that you trust, that is always the best course of action.
You can walk in and yell at him if there's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, and Tim's going to have brass. Tim's great.
Tim Betts at Precision Arms,
yep.
Yes.
And he said it was funny, as soon as we put out the podcast that they were making brass, he said he went from maybe like 1 6UM a month to like 5 or 6. And that's what we're talking about is, if you're going to build one, get on it for the brass.
For sure. If you put a build in somewhere or you're considering it, this goes back to like the COVID days where brass was in such short supply. Do not build a rifle until you got 100 pieces of brass secured. Now, if we know that we're going to have brass every 6 months from ADG and you're in the middle of that or whatever it is, just put the brass on order and make sure that you're on that list. Correct. And you will get your brass.
We cover all that stuff.
What other questions you get? Oh, load data. Give them some speeds and some barrel lengths and so on.
Enhance your shooting experience with STOCKY'S stocks. Are you tired of struggling with mediocre rifle stocks that hinder your performance? Imagine having a high-quality rifle stock that not only enhances your accuracy, but also provides superior strength in a lightweight build. STOCKY'S Stocks offers a wide range of premium rifle stocks manufactured with hand layup carbon fiber construction, a patented carbon fiber AccuBlock, and multiple finish options. Whether you're a long-range shooter or a hunting enthusiast, our stocks are perfect for you. Experience unmatched precision and durability with STOCKY'S stocks. We provide stock installation instructions, technical support, and guidance to help you choose the right stock for your rifle. Upgrade your shooting game today with STOCKY'S stocks.
A couple things here that I brought back up, and it's basically it's the same three things. Is what does it look like? The 6UM40, the 6UM30, and the 665 PRC.
Mhm.
That's what always compared to that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who did this load. I think it was Keaton did all the measurements, but I have them here.
Okay.
So what I have found from, and pretty much all this is off of 20-inch barrels. We have a couple 24s, but mostly we have like 7 or 8 20-inch barrels. So we have a pretty good database on the 6UM40 with a 20-inch barrel. So if you're running a 115 DTAC, it's going to be right around 3,300. If you're running this is off of 4 barrels from 665 PRCs, 20-inch barrels, 115 DTACs, they're all doing about 3,150. So you're looking at about 150 feet per second difference. What's very interesting with the H2O capacity on all 3 of these is the H2O capacity of the 665 PRC is 292.34. The 30-degree 6UM is 292.12. So it's saying that the 665 PRC is actually bigger, but not by much to matter. So you're going to look at probably at 3,150 with a 20-inch barrel.
With a 30-degree shallower shoulder without fire forming.
Yep, no fire forming. The 6UM30 and the 665 PRC are almost identical in H2O capacity.
I would say this. Between the two cases, if you had a choice, there is no 665 PRC brass.
The thing is, you can buy this brass, load it, and shoot it. You ain't got to neck down shit.
Yes.
The 30
with the head
degree.
stamp.
With the head stamp 6UM.
That's the big difference is the head stamp brass that applies to the cartridge.
Buy it, shoot it.
Yeah.
No, and to me, I fucking hate. There would be no 6UM if there wasn't a UM, because I ain't going through the process of fucking necking it all down anymore and shooting it. Luckily, Jake has everybody in place that I can walk my fat ass in here and say, I need some more 6UM brass. And between Nick and Jake's lovely wife, Jessica, it just magically shows up on the podcast desk in a few days after I ask for it. And
Fucking Tay-Tay, red carpet.
So anyways, there's a lot to that. Just buying that 30-degree, loading that shit, and walking out and shooting it. And pretty much you're getting 100 and everything. It's barrel dependent, right? Because you can be up 50, down 50 with a barrel. But you're looking at 150 feet per second difference between a 6UM40 and a 6UM30. And the same thing with the 665 PRC. It's about 150 feet per second shorter. And you're running, this is just off of the barrels we've seen from the 665 PRC. You're running close. You're not running quite the same, but it's about 63 grains of powder to get to that 3150 to 66. So you're burning 3 more grains of powder for 150 feet per second. So there is trade-offs, man. If you want a hot rod, you want a hot rod.
Yeah.
The 40
66 grains of N570.
Yep. Against 63, 62-ish grains from the 665 PRC.
Brings up another good question. Guys keep emailing and asking, what is the overall length to decide if it fits in a standard short action? So just know that it's 2950 or less.
Yep.
What's the standard, like 2940?
2940.
So 2940 with a 115 DTAC means that any normal shortest of the short action, this is going to feed.
Yeah, and we're running 60. So literally all I did was take that 2950 and I just took 60 thousandths off. Well, I didn't. We did some load dev in there, but that's pretty much where every DTAC likes it, with 66 grains. Obviously, do your due diligence and do some pressure testing. Start 10% lower, but it's 66 grains of N570, 60 thousandths off the lands. And it's pretty much every barrel it's shooting. I
mean, in all reality, if you have a quality barrel and all the reamers are same, all the brass is the same, etc., we should be able to just stick that load data in there for the most part, and you're going to be within 1%, from barrel to barrel.
Yeah.
The only variation would be barrel to barrel. One barrel can be faster than another, but the chamber geometry is going to be the same. The brass geometry is going to be the same.
And out of the 12, there's 12 total 6UMs of people that I know.
Mhm.
The only one that didn't like it was Tanya's, the hog rifle.
Okay.
And it was a pack nor. And it took, this is where people say that, load dev doesn't matter. It takes 80 thousandths to get a good load. It's 60 thousandths.
Instead of 60. So
Yeah,
20 thousandths more seating depth.
Yep. Over a 10-shot group, it was like 2.5 inches with that standard 60 offload. I pushed it out to 80 and it's about 1.2 inches
Yep.
over 10 shots,
Yep.
which whatever, it is what it is. But the vast majority of multiple different barrel companies, 60 off, 66 grains, and you're there.
So the guys that so just to sales pitch the 6UM a little bit and kind of close this out.
I thought that's what we were doing this whole time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess okay. So the real deal is like, why don't I get a 665 PRC? Why don't I do this? What about this cartridge? What about this cartridge? What about this cartridge? What about this one? What we're offering you here is the highest performance 6mm that fits in a short action, that has its own ecosystem of head stamp brass, dies, load data, pressure testing, reamers, go gauges, information available, high quality brass from a manufacturer that's backing it. All of that is included, and it's the same price you're going to pay for other shit. I mean, you're buying into the highest performance 6mm cartridge on the market that is not SAMI spec, but is everything a SAMI spec is. That's what we're selling you.
Yes. And we are going to get, I pretty much not cherry picked. I've asked everybody that has a 6UM now that I personally know to give me their load data. So we're going to have, I know the 103 LDM or LDX is in there, the 108 LDM's in there, the 115 or the 112 match burners in there, the 115 DTAC, and whatever the new Hornady 6mm, like the littler varmint bullet
Yep.
is. It's like a 70 something grainer.
Yep.
Those. And if you guys have any load dev, even if it's from the 6.5 PRC, send it to me
Yep.
because we're going to put it on the page for the 6UM.
Yep. I'm going to be, now that we have all that ammo priced out, there will be like a 6UM page for ammo stuff. Ryan's going to get all this load dev data together. That'll be available down in the product description.
Yep, I got most of it. I just got to put it into a mighty spreadsheet that Jake likes to use.
Yes. So then, so to go back on product availability, the brass is going to run March, April. That brass is still available for back order on UM's website. We will get the majority of that first run. We hope to get a couple days out of it, but put your order in if you plan on doing a rifle. The 40-degree reamers and dies are available on there now. I'll have all the 30-degree stuff on there as well, but we just ordered reamers from JG. You require special reamers to make dies, not just a chamber reamer. So we have to order 2 special dies for each of those cartridges to send off to win in an ADG, and all that's in process. But it will be all up on the website when you guys hear this podcast.
I looked up on my little PMs on Rockslide and two basic questions, but I get multiple of them. It is a Magnum bolt face,
bolt face.
and it'll fit in any Tikka.
Any Tikka, any short action period.
Yes.
Remington short action is a general 2950 or shorter. So any Tikka and any short action.
In a Magnum bolt face.
Yes.
But it's funny with Tikka because it doesn't matter if you had a 300 win or a 300 short, it'll fit.
Yes.
You just need to, you may have to change your mag a little bit if you have.
And the bolt stop.
And the bolt stop. And
Yeah.
that's it. But it's Magnum. It's not a Lapua. It's not a standard. It's a Magnum.
Yes.
Probably have 5 of those in there.
It's a 550 bolt face, 0.550 for those who are concerned about bolt face.
And it's so.
You can measure that with your caliper.
Yep. And it's been super easy to tune. Like I said, pretty much everybody that's running 115s is running the same load. I think we've probably picked that horse enough.
Yeah. Good to go.
We need to do a couple speak pipes.
Let's just keep this short. Just leave it alone.
Want no speak pipes?
Like, how long are we in? 30 minutes?
33, probably.
Just leave it.
28.
Just leave it.
Jake wants it short and sweet. Hey, I always tell Jake short and sweet, and then he talks a lot. So this is the first time.
This
Jake's
is going to
ever
be the
fucking
go-to
decided.
6UM source of information for the beginning of 2025. If there is ever anything that we need to, that was pretty much everything we know that's going to happen, though. Anything ever changes, we'll update this, but this is all the best data to date starting 2025.
Perfect. That was my nickname in high school, by the way.
Oh,
Short and sweet.
There we go. All right, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.